Guys, welcome back to Hiya. Today we're here with special friend. We have luvl12 here today, and I'm just gonna ask her some questions, and we're gonna vibe, and it's gonna be great. I was curious about this, but when exactly did you first get into the fandom of the great Hitalia fandom?
That is many years ago.
Mm.
Middle school, I want to say, end of seventh grade. My friend was really into the show, and we had similar anime tastes just to begin with. And she was like, "You should watch this show," and I was like, maybe. And I eventually got around to it. I think it was in the spring of my seventh grade year, and I watched it, and I fell in love with it. And then I binged all of it over that next summer. And I have been here ever since, and I love it so much.
Oh gosh, that's very similar to how I got into the fandom, which is kind of fun. The exact same story for me, but with sixth grade. My best friend had gotten into it, and she would just she was super excited about it because me and her we're both just into a bunch of the same things. And this time she had found something interesting first, and so she would tell all our friends about it and just tell us a bunch of references that at the time I didn't understand, but I look back on and I laugh so hard. But she had gotten into it during quarantine, and then I finally gave in to all of her jokes about it. And I was like, okay, fine, I'll watch this show. And so I started it, and I just remember I had this moment, the first 3 seconds of the first episode, I paused it and I just had this moment of what am I getting myself into? And now we're here.
Oh, that what am I watching instant hit me too. I watched it and I'm like, what is this chaos? And I texted my friend, I was like, what are you making me watch? And she's like, it gets better, I promise. And I was like, okay. I'm
Girl,
glad.
that's exactly what I did. I watched 3 seconds and I just started laughing and questioning what I'm doing. And I texted her and I was like, "Yo, what is this?" And she's like, she just said, "Go watch." So I was like, "Okay, fine." And then I fell in love. And then I dropped it because I had to finish school because online school is always fun. But then I finished school and I finished it I think in the first 2 weeks of summer vacation.
Oh yeah, it does not take long to get through.
It was, I thought it was going to take a while, but then I realized how short the episodes were. And then the only thing that bothered me was watching the movies because I can't watch movies or not the movie. And so that was a little different. But I watched it. I actually watched it a few times. I watched it a few nights ago. I rewatched it for the first time in a couple of months. What is your how do you the 2020 fandom that's speaking about season 7 right now? What is your viewpoint the current fandom compared to the early fandom?
Well, I wasn't ever with the. I got into this show 2016, I want to say. So the show was like a decade old. Well, the show wasn't a decade old, but the Hitalia was a decade old because it started in 2006, from what I've learned. I feel like we're pretty chill compared to what I've heard from my friends who have been in the fandom a lot longer. There's not a lot of chaos. I mean, we did have some debacle on Instagram this summer, but other than that, I think we're doing pretty okay. I'm really excited about season 7 cuz there's so many like outdated memes of Hitalia fans wanting season 7 and Hima just poofing off into wherever land, and now we have it, and it feels like just the most 2020 thing that could have happened to the Hitalia show.
It really is. I actually remember I found out about it. I had just gotten off of school and I had went on to YouTube for a little bit. And then my entire recommended page was just Hitalia season 7, Hitalia season 7, Hitalia season 7, Hitalia season 7 confirmed, Hitalia season 7. So I was like, okay, what is happening? And I got so excited and I remember I just started screaming. And I was so excited because I'm one of those annoying fangirls and we love that.
Yeah, I woke up because a lot of the people that I follow about Hitalia stuff are in different time zones, and I woke up and my Instagram feed was just full of Hitalia season 7 confirmed, and I had to do an entire deep dive on my lunch break to make sure it was real, and it was, and I was happy.
Bro, I remember I actually when I was the first video I clicked on because there was 7 videos of this I wanted to watch as soon as I got off school and I saw it. I think I watched yours and then I watched a couple of other random uh Italian YouTubers that have just been posting a bunch of memes of it. And then I think I stopped and then whenever Hedda Facts posted her video on it, I watched that. And then I just started like getting really excited about it. But I've calmed down now. And I'm
Yeah.
good. It was very hyped for a good week, and then everyone calmed down and they got their patience back, and we're all good now. Do you think the fandom's gonna survive? It's already, oh god. The anime, oh god. The web comic started 2007, I believe. I don't know. I know the manga started in 2008 and the anime started in 2009. So the fandom is at the least, I want to say 12 years old. You think it's going to last like another decade, or do you think it's going to last any longer?
Well, I mean, prior to season 7 coming out, my answer would have been very different. I would have said I think the ones that have been through it the longest are the ones that are the most attached to it, like people like me that haven't been in it as long as others. They're going to stay around. The die-hard ones are going to stay around, but the ones that pick it up kind of like seasonal anime, they'll pick it up for a few years and then drop it because that's the nature of younger people or people in like middle school and early high school. They get into fandoms really heavily and then drop it. But now that we have season 7, especially because it's really popular in Japan. I mean, the Western and the Japanese fandom are two like different beasts to talk about. But Western fandom wise, I think had season 7 not come out, I think we would have like slowly draped off again as we so often do. There's like highs and lows. I think season 7 brings in a new high, but I don't think we'll ever die. I think that's something I've learned very well from uh, older people in the fandom around me, that Hitalia doesn't die. It just breathes in and out.
It really doesn't. I remember my first video. I had like made other ones, but then I got lazy and forgot to paste them because like we love doing that. But the only video I have currently uploaded, because like I took down most of them, because why not, is just like a theory about season 7, and then it ended up being like mostly correct. And then I looked at the comments because I hadn't even looked at it. I had just kind of blown it off, and I had checked on it, and it had like gotten big once the whole season 7 announcement came out, and all the comments were just like, "Oh my God, you predicted it! Oh my God, are you God? What is this?" And I was very happy, and like it made me happy. I'm not gonna, but I agree with that. Is if the fandom didn't get season 7, it probably would have died off here in the West, but probably would have stayed in Japan for a, a good more chunk of time. I'm fairly excited about it. I think season 7 is gonna at least keep the Western fandom going for another, at least a couple of years. Maybe more. But like, we never die. We resurrect.
Yes.
It's just kind of like we were there, die off for a couple of years, get big, die off, get big, die off, and we just continue to die and get resurrected. You already did a video about like what you think season 7 is going to be, but I have just like some questions because I was curious about like more in detail, if that makes sense.
Yeah, go ahead.
But do you just like in general, do you think season 7 is going to be any good?
Well, Hitalia isn't like a work of art. Like it's not a masterpiece to begin with. I'm not gonna lie to you.
Yeah.
I find the charm in Hitalia being like what it attempts and what it achieves. In terms of good for Hitalia, I think it'll be about par with what we've been getting. The art style, I'm there's been some debate about this as we get more art from the show. I was never a fan when they switched over to that really glossy. I called it the honey bun kind of glazed look. You know what I'm talking about? Yeah, yeah, yeah. I'm not a fan of the art style, but I do think it'll be good if Hema continues doing what he's been doing. You know, the formula clearly works, so I
Yeah.
think it'll be on level.
I think it's gonna be. I don't think it's gonna be as good as the first few. I don't know. I don't know. Cause like as far as seasons go, it's kind of like I can't really tell which ones I like the most. Not because I don't have favorites per se, but because of like the attachment I have to them. It's kind of like I'm not a fan of the first 2 seasons, but because of my like attachment to them, like I really like them anyway.
Yeah.
But if the newer seasons, like seasons 5 and 6, World of Twinkle and Beautiful World, I believe, if they were in the older art style, which I doubt would have happened anyway, I feel like they would have been just a tad more enjoyable to me personally. And then I'm gonna be blunt. I don't like the art that's coming out for season 7. The What's getting me is the eyes. I don't like the eyes. The eyes are
Yes.
just like the eyes, the proportions, the outfits. It's like it makes me angry.
Okay, the thing about the outfits, I don't think the outfits are permanent. There's no way Hema could do that to us because of how long we've had the old outfits. I think that's just for promotional material. But yeah, the
That's what I originally thought. I looked at it and I was like, I don't think this is gonna be like for real, for real. I think this is just for the promo. But at the same time, if it's what's being changed, I'm gonna be really mad.
yeah, no, but the eyes and the hair for me is like questionable because it's missing the sparkle, the polish, as I keep on saying.
Yes. It's like if you take the new art style or like the 5 and 6 art style and you take away the gloss. And it's just like, what are you doing?
Yeah.
Actually, me and my friends, I'm not gonna name them obviously for their privacy, but they saw the picture of Liechtenstein and they screenshotted just her head and they like photoshopped random eyes onto her and they say it's she's gonna eat your soul eyes and it's great.
My child.
No, I'm sorry. Is there anything like, again, I know you covered this in a video, but I'm like curious. Is there anything specific you would like to see in the new season? Because I'm pretty sure it's based off of the World Stars manga, but like I am kind of curious on if they're gonna add other stuff. But is there any like specific things you would want to see in it?
Well, as I said in my other video, I just want more characters, like, and for them to be fleshed out. Because, I mean, we have, like, Cypress and, those kind of not so much known characters in Monaco. But, like, I want them more fleshed out. Trying to think if there's any, like, specific event or anything I want. Not really. I am lazy and do not read the webcomic. That's, like, a
I don't know.
sin against whatever to some people, but, it's called being lazy. Uh, but yeah, I don't know. Seeing as I haven't read the comic, I'm actually want to be pleasantly surprised, so I'm still not gonna read it. I just hope it's the same comedy and the same. I just want it to be familiar because it's been what 5 years since we had a new season. I just want it to not feel like things have changed. Like
That's
I just want it to feel like the Hitalia that I picked up in middle school, basically.
That's kind of how I am. I'm so attached because Hitalia became like my comfort show. It still is my comfort show. I'm not even gonna lie. Back in I want to say July, and it's kind of just like I'm worried that the new season isn't gonna continue that charm, and it's gonna make me want to fall off Hitalia, which like is gonna make me like not even gonna lie, it's gonna make me sad because like it's become like my all my friends, but that don't watch Hitalia, they know what it is, and they know a good chunk of what it is just because of me talking about it and my friends talking about it that do know what it is, and it's just kind of like if I wasn't into Hitalia, I don't really know what I'd be into because I'm really bad at getting into fandoms. But like Hitalia just kind of like spoke to me. That sounds like suspicious, but like you know what I mean.
No, no, no. I 100% know what you mean. I was actually thinking about this before our interview. I'm like, what fandom would I be in if I didn't like Italia? And like, I think of like Among Us or Sally Face or like The Last of Us, and I'm like, yeah, those are cool, but I couldn't see myself getting into those fandoms. So I kind of don't leave Hitalia because I'm so attached to it, and I'm like, Hitalia is like part of my identity now. So like, what would I do without it? Honestly.
That's kind of how I am. The only exception I made during my time in the fandom of Hitalia, I don't know why I phrased it like that, but the only exception I had made was for Yuri on Ice. I remember it was like August and it was like midnight and I was bored and I wanted to start a new anime because like why not? And I ended up staying up till 5 in the morning watching all of Yuri on Ice and I was obsessed with it for the next 2 weeks and I just got back into it.
I see a common overlap of Hitalia fans and Yuri on Ice, and I saw the first 10 minutes of the first episode of Yuri on Ice, and I'm like, yeah, I'm not into it. I mean, I know what happens. It's got spoiled for me because it was super popular back in like 2016, 2017 when it first aired. And like everyone was losing their collective minds over it. So, yeah. It'd be something like it if I were to leave Italia, it'd be for something more serious like Erased or The Last of Us or The Promised Neverland, something like that.
Necessarily is just because like of how short it is and how the fandom is much smaller than per se the Hitalia fandom. The Yuri on Ice fandom, it's there, but it's not as there as the Hitalia fandom. If you know what I mean.
Yeah. Well, I mean, Yuri on Ice, the movie trailer released recently, and my a lot of my friends are into that show, and they're losing their collective minds again, and I'm like, all right, I'm not watching it with y'all, but all right.
Yeah, for me actually, I had watched I had found out, I didn't find out when it happened, but I did find out that the movie trailer that they had that had been like hyped up for 3 years, they finally released the teaser trailer for the movie, which was really exciting, and everyone got super hyped for a couple of days. But again, we're calmed down now. It's kind of just like 2021 is gonna be like just a big year for like fandoms that kind of died off a couple years ago because we're gonna have Hitalia. See, I was about to say Hitalia season two, Hitalia season seven, Yuri on Ice the movie, and Overwatch two. And I'm sure there could easily be more fandom uprisings.
I don't know if this is like related to anything, but Head of Facts story time. Head of Facts was one of the only Hitalia big person that I saw when I first got into Hitalia, again, middle school. And I had reached out to her with my channel having like less than 100 subscribers maybe, and I'm like, do you want to collab? And she said yes. And so I was super nervous doing the researching and editing and recording and all that stuff. And then the day it was supposed to go live, I got sick with a stomach bug, and I'm like, I am the worst person ever. And I still feel super bad about the video that we did. But yeah, so I know how you feel. It do be kind of awkward though.
But going back to what you said about, I'm sorry, like I'm all over the place about wanting to see smaller characters because I wanted to make a comment, but I didn't want to interrupt. I there are definitely some characters that are not fleshed out enough that I really want to see. I really want to see Taiwan and Vietnam, and then I want the micronations to get more fleshed out as well, because like they've had screen time, but like I want them to get more fleshed out, because at least I haven't done a lot of research on them, but like I love them. And then I'm gonna be honest, I'm not okay. So my best friend's super into the Nordics, and I'm kind of mediocre on them. They're not bad, but they're not good, if that makes sense. They're just kind of in the middle for me. But I do want to see just a tad more of them and maybe more fleshed out to make them not look like a ripoff, knockoff Walmart version of the Allies.
Yeah, that's my big issue with the Nordics too. I mean, I like Sweden and Finland, but the other three get on my nerves. I have many people that do not like me for that, but that is okay.
Okay. So for me, the whole reason I even got into the Nordic Five was because of Sufin. I was super into Sufin a couple of months ago, and then by default, a bunch of Nordic stuff came into my YouTube feed, whatever, and I ended up watching them. And then I was kind of like I fell in love with the Nordics for a while, and then I fell off of them. And then yeah, but I want more of Taiwan and Vietnam, more of the micronations, more of the Nordics. The show like it bases itself so much around like Italy, Germany, Japan, America. I do definitely want more precious screen time. I said screen time. Screen time because it's like I love him.
Yeah,
He's nice.
I love Precious so much. He is my comfort character.
Bruh, same. I used to be okay. This is a funny little mini story time. So me and my friend, when I had first gotten into the fandom, I was afraid of Prussia, and whenever he would like come on the screen while I was watching, I would like fast forward it because I was terrified of him, and I don't know why.
That's great. Um, I kind
It
of,
is.
I kind of had like a similar thing with Prussia. Not that I was afraid of him, but that I absolutely hated him. But the more I researched him and the more fan fictions I read, I have read a lot of fan fiction for Hitalia. Not great ones either, mind you. Horrible ones on DeviantArt. But I have read fan fictions, and they just made him seem so likable. And like, the more I watched Hitalia and the more I researched him, I'm like, Prussia is my boy, and I love him so much. And he's the only Hitalia character I've cosplayed, and love him.
So to make myself not afraid of him, I this is so cringy. I looked him up on Tumblr and I found this one user who would like write like requested like little one shots fan fictions on there. So I scrolled through their account and just read all of their Prussia fan fiction and I like fell in love with him. But I didn't want to like message my friend and be like, "Hey, I like Prussia now," because that's weird. And I was cringe. So I was like, "Okay, I'm gonna pretend I'm still scared of him because like that's what good brains do, of course." So I continue to be afraid of him. Is there anything else you want to go ahead and add, or you think we're done?
No, I think I think we're done. This was really fun.
It was really fun. You're a vibe, and like you're a vibe, and like I love you, no homo. You're a vibe, and it's great.